Hi everybody, welcome to today's webinar, Creating a Marketing Plan for Your Distributor Business. I want to thank you for joining me today. I know you have a lot to do with your time and you're really busy, so I appreciate your spending some of your time here with me, and I promise I will make it worth your while. That's my goal. Now today's presentation is about 60 minutes long, and if you have any questions at the end, please post them on the Facebook group. I will answer them all. And if you're not a member of the group, you can join by clicking on the link that I'm going to be putting in this page. So make sure you join. It's really the best way to answer your questions, and also more people benefit from it. My name is Gloria Lafont and I am the president of Action Marketing. We provide marketing services for small businesses, now including distributors. I've been doing that for almost 30 years, and 17 of those years incorporating online marketing in the mix. And I have taken all that I have learned over those years to provide specialized services for distributor businesses. And I know the industry really well because I owned a distributor company for 10 years, so I really do know your challenges. Okay, so this webinar is for distributors who are not sure how to market their business, who are confused with all the marketing options, and with good reason, because there is so much information out there and most of it does not apply to the promotional product business. So if you've been doing some research, you're probably left with more questions than answers. And that's the reason for this webinar today, to bring you clarity, to help you map out the most important 3 or 4 things that you need to implement to move your business forward. Because believe me, you don't need 20 different things. You just need a handful of things that you're going to implement correctly, and that's it. Most importantly, specifically for the promotional product business, because this is a business-to-business, account-based relationship business. So everything you do has to take that into consideration. Now, for those of you who don't know me and what brought me here, I am a baby boomer. And yes, I am a grandmother actually. My family is most important to me. I'm sure, like most of you listening right now, is the same thing. And I've always had an entrepreneur mindset, just like you, I'm sure. I am what I call the unemployable kind. I like to be my own boss. And I've been in the marketing space for over 30 years, as I mentioned before. I had a business together with my ex-husband where we provided data processing service to direct mail clients. Direct mail was big in those days. And our business was really successful, and it was featured in a local publication here that I'm showing you right here very proudly back in 1992. But the thing is that we had to close the business overnight because a new law was passed and it put us out of business because our clients were no longer allowed to advertise using direct mail and make the offers that they were making. You know, our clients were all legit clients, but there were a lot of people doing really obscure things and shady things and taking advantage of people. So they passed this law to protect the consumer, and with it, a lot of businesses just went under. You know, the printing business, all of mail houses and things, that just was a game changer, and it was really bad. It was devastating. We knew they were discussing this law and they were talking about it, but you know, we looked the other way because we were doing well. We were making money, so we didn't really see that possibly happening and changing our lives. But it did. Now, what I learned is that you have to be aware of what's going on around you, and that's why I'm bringing this up today, because I know a lot of you know that the market has changed, but you are just so set in continuing doing things the same way that it's just dangerous. So in my opinion, you have to be flexible, you have to be open to new things coming into the market, and because you can't stop it. So don't wait until it falls on top of you and crushes you, because it's a very bad for the morale, okay? Now, after that, I did marketing consulting and branding for medium-sized businesses mostly. You know, I had manufacturing clients, a lot of my clients in the construction industry, and manufacturing plants that were small and they were growing, and it was really interesting. I worked with a lot of clients that were really interested in changing and modernizing their businesses. They had been in business for a long time and it was time to change, and it was really, really interesting. And when the internet started, I was an early adopter because those clients wanted to have websites and they wanted to be online. So, in fact, I had my first website project that I worked on was in the year 2000. So, I have been around with this. Now, in 2007, I founded Action Marketing. And my idea at that point was to build a distributor business. But I continued providing comprehensive marketing services to smaller type of businesses because I really love working with small business owners. The large businesses, corporations and organizations, you don't deal with the owner, you deal with a department, and that's fine too. But I really enjoy working with business owners. So when I first opened my business, I went out to every networking event I heard about. I joined the chamber, I held events at my place, as you can see in those pictures, and all of this effort did bring me good clients, but mostly small ones, even though some were not really, really small. But the big clients don't go to any of these mixers. But I also looked to advertise my business online because that's where I had to advertise. Up to that point, I had always advertised in the yellow pages, and though you have also done print advertising, newspapers and publications, and it worked really well. I really believed in advertising. You put an ad and the phone starts to ring. It was wonderful. But at this point, back when I started, this was really going to be a huge waste of money. I was clear on that. That was not what I was going to do. But at the same point, internet marketing was so new that nobody knew how it worked for a small business, especially, and there was a lot of hype. There were some directories where you could advertise, and I did try, but it was really not anything compared to the good old days with newspaper advertising as far as the results. So I started to learn. I started to research and see how everything, what was available and how the results people were getting. And then, being very cautious, I also started to try things, but always applying my basic knowledge of marketing and common sense, because I always thought that the fundamentals were the same. The tools were different, new vehicles were out there, new ways of reaching people, but the fundamentals and the basics were the same. So I did eventually start getting really good clients from the internet. So my distributor business started to grow quickly, and so did the small business marketing services. But there were two separate business models, and at one point I had some family issues and I had to make some decisions, and I kind of separated the two. And I really focused on the agency side mostly. And I love that because I already had a team in place that really understood my point of view and the way I wanted to work. And it seemed the logical thing to do. And I started to get a lot of referrals, and it was really good. So eventually, I started to also include distributors as I started to help distributors that needed help in this area. So it just made sense to focus on that. And that is the reason for this webinar, because I'm applying all that I learned through the years to help distributors, and that's what I'm doing this. So today we are going to be covering the following points. First we're going to talk about the strategic approach to create a plan, and it's going to be based on the fundamentals. Very, very important that you see this. Yeah, I'm sure it will make sense. Now then, we're also going to talk about transitioning to the internet and how to start building your online presence, because your marketing plan is going to address that. Then we're going to dive into the 9 steps to create your plan. And lastly, I will touch on some of the tools and resources to help you with the implementation. All right, so Now, it is important that you start with a strategy as opposed of trying different tactics and at different times, hoping for something to stick. So the best way is to stick to the fundamentals, as I mentioned before. Now, if you do that, you will be fine. And I'm talking about direct response marketing fundamentals. That's how I learned marketing. And it follows a simple formula. You have to match your audience to the vehicle and the message. And I love direct response because it is very targeted and you're always looking to obtain a response. But today, in this environment, people are focused on the vehicles and not paying much attention to the other two parts. That's why when you hear the word marketing, you may think about any of all these things here that you see. And I hear people say, I want to start blogging because I know that content is what is good and I have to start blogging. And I want to do more social media. And I've heard that Instagram is great. I have to do Instagram. And I want to start doing videos. I heard that's big right now. That's going to do it. And all of these are good and they're going to work, but they are ingredients. They are vehicles. So when you focus on those, which much of the marketing today is, you're missing two key ingredients. And that's why people don't get much results or get much traction from this, their efforts. Okay, now how do you transition to the internet? Basically, what you want to do is start to build your online presence and authority. And you will be able to get started after this webinar. That's my goal. Now, I'm sure you already know that building an online presence is important, but I want to quickly remind you why. As you know, people, your clients included, spend tons of time online. They are constantly asking questions, commenting on posts, sharing opinions, writing reviews, and also searching for information all day long. And you cannot afford not to be right in the middle of that when the topic is promotional products related. As simple as that. Furthermore, when people are searching for a new provider in the business to business space, they have already done their due diligence and selected their provider by the time they make contact. We really saw this many times. When people called us, they were placing the order. You just have to close the sale. And this is sustained by some studies. Some say that it's less, some say that it's more, but in the B2B space, it's really, they're ready to buy. So people searching online are low-hanging fruit. They have an event coming up and they don't have a provider. It is proven. When you research the number of searches per month, they are in the tens of thousands for a variety of promotional product search terms. So people are out there searching. So you want to be found. And once they find you, you want them to contact you. So to be found, you need to build your online presence and to drive traffic to your website. Now, there are 4 important parts to accomplish that. And I recently did a webinar about this topic. There will be a link on the replay, on this replay page. It will explain it a little more in more detail. But real quick, these are them. You need a website, a high converting website. You need content. You need to promote that content, and then you need to track and measure your efforts. So first, your website. Your website is the center of your marketing. It is your place of business in today's marketplace. Everything you do is with the purpose to drive people to your website. So your website has to represent your business well. Communicate your expertise. It has to do a good job at converting visitors. Speak to your ideal clients. And sometimes, even if you're not really doing a lot of SEO and you don't expect to get found, but you have an approach where you are contacting people on LinkedIn, for example, and you have a reach out plan like that, they are going to go to your website to see who you are. So you cannot afford to not to have a website that does not represent your business. So this is really critical. And in fact, we have a checklist, a website design checklist that covers all the important components of a good converting website for a distributor company, okay? As well as the ideal layout, all the pieces that you have to have. So you'll also find a link for that. Okay, so next is the content, and I'm sure you heard it. Content is king. It might already sound like a cliche, but it is really true, and content is important because it is how you communicate your value and your expertise to your ideal client. It really tells your ideal client that you are the guy, you know? So it is also how search engines find your website. Somebody's typing something because they're looking for something, and if you have information about that, your website is going to come up. So that's how you connect the dots. Very important. Then there's content promotion. Once you have placed your content on your website, you want to promote it, you want to share it, you want everybody to see it. So that's where social media comes in, and you share it through social channels. You also send it in your emails, and you also may do some paid promotions so that you get more people to see your content, because you can't just wait for people to find you, and be discovered. You want to push it a little. Now, the last piece is tracking your results, because all of this is a lot of work, and you want to make the adjustments as you go so that you tweak and you improve. Very important. This is a very dynamic thing, and it's always changing. So you want to be on top of this. When I'm saying that it changes, I mean all these tools and the vehicles. I do not mean the fundamentals. That does not change. To give you a better visual of how this works, your website being at the center of your marketing is your place of business and the place where you want to get people in so that you can convert them. Then you have all your SEO efforts that include the technical SEO, content, and all those other efforts to help your website be found by Google or the other search engines. Then there is the online promotion through social media and paid ads and also email, where you are going to be discovered by people that have not heard about you. So that's how it works. To summarize, to build your online presence, you have to have a well-defined target audience. You have to have a relevant, informative content. And you're going for creating a premium position. You want to have high visibility and a good reputation. So you're building all of those things. Okay, so now let's dive into the 9 steps. The first step is to do a review. You want to do a review of your marketing efforts for the previous year. You want to see what went well, what did you achieve, what didn't work, what activities got you the best results, how you could improve that, what could you start, and what should you stop. You want to look at all your marketing pieces. So you want to get all of those out. I like to always get everything out. Any postcards, brochures, self-promos, banners, everything. Look at everything in one place, and then it's really amazing. But for me, I am really visual. So all of my promotional pieces and marketing pieces I have on a board, and I call it my brand board, and just get that out and see every year I have, if we've done anything new. And it's really, for me, it's really helpful because it helps you. Sometimes you just look at it and say, wow, what was I thinking when I did that? Or we should repeat this that we did 2 years ago and it went really well. Okay, so also you want to go through your website and go through it with a fine-tooth Or better yet, have somebody else in your team go through it. You're looking for broken links, for outdated information, missing information, things like that. Because you don't really go to your website ever. You don't go through your website. But your prospects and potential clients do. So hey, you got to be mindful and keep it in order. Now you also want to look at your social media profiles. Which ones are you just not posting anything? Which ones you should push up a little? Any customer feedback that you have received that you want to take into consideration, or new testimonials that you want to showcase. Also, it's a good idea to perform an SEO audit to find out your presence online, how Google sees your website. And in fact, we have a free assessment that we do. You will also find the link on this replay page. And it's really, sometimes you find things that are really easy to fix that are causing problems. So it's worth it. You'll be surprised what you see, because it's not how you think people find you. This will show you how Google finds your site. Okay, so next is your goals, obviously, right? You want to set goals, and typically your goals are set in terms of sales. But you want to have a long-term goal and then break it down in stages and set your 1-year goal based on that long-term goal. So, it could be 5 years or 3 years, as far as your long-term goal. And I say this because quite often when I ask distributors their sales goals, they tell me that they want to reach an amount that is really far from their current situation, and it's not realistic, because if you have to quadruple your business, you really have to either invest a lot of money in advertising. I'm not saying it's impossible. If you have a solid plan and the financial resources to invest, it's perfectly possible, and I have actually seen it happen. But most of the time, if you have a limited budget, it's going to be hard. And also you want to have not only have the sales number, but you also need to know and visualize and internalize what your business looks like when you have reached that goal. So what kind of people you have to add to your team and the roles, so that you can scale it. So you want to go a little beyond just the sales. So that's why I like the 5-year goal and then break it over 3, and then come down to from there to the 1-year goal that is going to take you down that road. You want to basically think in terms of the milestones that you need to accomplish for your to break down the stages of your goal and the work that you have to do to get there. I want to share with you my goal setting worksheet that I have. Yes, I have a worksheet for that. And it's very simple. You just take a piece of paper and you create 4 boxes. And I have this on a Word document, and I write down my 3-year goals, my 1-year goals, and then my 90-day plan. And then this week's actions, I actually use Post-it notes for that. But basically the concept here is that you write down, you list your 3-year goals in terms of sales, and also in terms of the team that you need to have in place, the amount of time you want to be able to take off a year, vacations, and other things that might be important to you. And then in 1 year, where do you need to be in a year to make it to the 3-year goal? Then your 90-day is kind of like your execution plan, your mini execution plan. Because when you break it into stages, okay, what do you need to have in 90 days? What do you need to have in place in 90 days that will take you in that direction? So for me, this method has been a game changer. I actually learned this from a coach that I paid. And ever since I heard this concept, it just made so much sense to me, and I have stuck to it. The only time that I have actually been able to stick to any way of tracking my goals, okay? So anyway, this is kind of a business plan even. So the 90 days, going back to the 90 days, I listed things that I'm going to complete, and there are only going to be 3 or 4 things. You don't want it to be that many because you have other things to do in your day and you have a full plate. So, but for example, let's say that you don't have a CRM system and you don't have a prospecting system in place and you want to start that. So your 90-day plan is to have a CRM in place and to have a prospecting system in LinkedIn in place, for example. So this week actions might be start gathering all of the names that I have spread all over the place. So by the end of this week, I'm going to have all of those names in a spreadsheet. And also I am going to start doing some research on CRM systems to see which one I like. And in fact, I have an article about choosing a CRM system, which I am also linking at the bottom. And then next week, I may have already completed consolidating all the names in one place. And now I want to clean it up. I want to see which ones are garbage, which ones I want to pursue, and just organize them. I hope you get the idea. So that's how I like to do that, because then you break the big goal into chunks. The next step is review your audience. Take a look at your ideal client profile. How many of your clients actually do fit into your criteria? How many of your clients, what kind of clients, what are the characteristics of your clients that you want to duplicate, that you would like to clone? Some people call it your avatar, your buyer persona, whatever name you prefer to give it. I know that a lot of you have a hard time with this because it's so diverse. But I want to give you a few ways of narrowing that down, because in the end, there are certain commonalities that you want to look for. You want to look, first of all, because this is account-based, you cannot just look at the demographics of the people you are dealing with. That's not going to really work. So the first thing you want to look at is at, what type of businesses you want to work with. That's number one. What type of businesses and organizations do you love working with? Also, what type of projects and what organizations actually do those projects. And then on the other one, it would be the types of businesses you want to work with. What type of projects do they do? So those two things are very related. Then you want to look at the people in charge of researching and purchasing. So you want to know, what do they have in common? Because you want to look at their demographic characteristics within the context of the company that they work with and their limitations that the company, or the requirements of the characteristics, or the guidelines that the company is going to have. So that's how you are going to narrow it down. And you have to understand that even though you may have a client that loves working with you, that wouldn't go anywhere else, may actually go somewhere else if they are chairing an event, for example, and money was really tight and they had to really make it the cheapest possible in the whole world, then they wouldn't buy it from you. They would probably go and buy it online. And it doesn't feel good, but you can't hate them for it, because you would do the same thing. So that's why it is extremely important to see that your buyer is inside a context, and the two things have to be taken into consideration. So hopefully this gives you a better idea of how to narrow down your target audience, because one of the things you want to know is their interests and their problems that they have in looking for products, so that you speak to that. Okay, speaking to that, the next one is your message, number 4. Your message has to address those problems that your audience has. Your message is key because it's what will attract and connect to your target audience. So you want to review your message. And I'm not talking just about your tagline. I'm also talking about how you present your business, how you show your point of view. It's really, again, speaking to your audience's interest and the reasons why they would buy from you and the problems that they avoid by working with you. Okay. The next step is to establish a budget, and this is another one that is not easy to do. And I want to give you a few ideas to help you with this. I'm going to share my method, and there are 2 parameters in my method. My first parameter, you got to know your numbers. Knowing your numbers means that you know how much a client is worth to you, how much business can you get out of a client during their lifetime value, okay? And how much would you pay for such a client? Those 2 items. So, how much would you pay for a new client? Is the cost of acquisition. These 2 numbers are key. In the promo industry, you have a real long time lifetime value. If you've been in business for 20 years, chances are you have a few clients that have been with you that long. So imagine how much have they spent since they first started. And this is one of the fantastic things about this business, because if you were selling office equipment, it would be a very different scenario, okay, as far as the repeat business. So these are numbers that you want to know. Now, I want to show you an example because, of course, this gives you an idea of how much money it makes sense to invest in acquiring a client. So I want to show you an example to illustrate this a little bit more. Let's say that you are doing some marketing and you are getting a client with a $20,000 budget that the first year is going to bring $5,000. They're trying you out for whatever reason. They only gave you $5,000. So when you look at how much they bring in 5 years, and I'm going to assign a lifetime value of 5 years because I have noticed that you can expect them to stay 5 years at a position. After 5 years, they get promoted, they go to another company, they retire, whatever it may be. So even though this is much longer for most of the times, there are also times that you have to kind of be prepared for this cycle. But anyway, for this example, if this client lasted 5 years, during those 5 years, it brought in $85,000 in sales. Now, let's say that my marketing budget is $2,500 a month. So, and I get 1 client per month with that budget. With a total lifetime value of $85,000, my cost to get that client was $2,500. I hope this gives you an idea of what I'm talking about. Now, it doesn't mean that we have $2,500 to spend on marketing. So how much does it make sense? How much can we spend? How can we figure that out? My second parameter is how much can I afford? And I call it my bathroom remodeling method. Not very scientific, but I don't know, it makes sense to me. So let's say that I move into a house and my bathroom is old. And when I bought it, I didn't have enough money to fix it and repair it and remodel it. So I just left it like that, and I put a nice looking shower curtain and some little dress it up with something. It doesn't look too bad. It's nice and clean. But one day I find a leak. When I call the plumber tells me that they have to rip out the wall of the shower where the bathtub is because it's coming from there and the pipe is probably just rotted or whatever. So they have to rip out that wall. Now, of course, I'm not going to find that same tile. I might as well just remodel the bathroom. I'm not going to start with the cheapest stuff out there because I'm limiting myself. The first thing I want to know is how much does it cost to have an awesome bathroom? What is my ideal bathroom look like first? Then how much does it cost? Now, oh yeah, I want marble floors and I want glass tile and I want wood cabinets and I want a black top and I want the sinks above the counter. That's what I want. But cannot afford it. It's too much money. I don't have money for that. So I start to look and see what I can afford that's going to look like that and give me that kind of look. I may settle for this. Close enough. So that's my approach. And I hope it's not too crazy for you. But the point is that you want to know how much you can spend that is going to make sense. You want to have a number range in mind. Okay, so let's go back to marketing. What you're actually trying to do is finding the right combination of cost and value in the end. Also, another thing that you're going to be looking at when you invest in marketing, considering that you're looking to get visitors onto your website, you want to know how many visitors, how many leads, how many prospects, how many sales are you getting per month, and then estimate the cost to get those results and get some sort of a proportion there. Okay, the next point is the marketing activities. This is going to start getting a little fun now. The marketing vehicles and tactics that will connect our message to the audience, that's what we're going to be looking at, how we're going to connect. Now, at this point, you want to start doing some brainstorming. It's going to be done in a guided way, I should say, because you want to make sure that you cover all 3 marketing areas that you need to address to maximize your business growth. And I have a blueprint that we use for our clients, and I created one that's specific for promotional product business. It is also available for download, but basically it covers all of the pieces that you need to have in place to have a 360 marketing in place that addresses all of the aspects. And there are 3 main aspects that any business of any kind, of any industry, needs to address. The first one is your brand authority. It says start here because that is really your foundation. You need to have a strong foundation. You want to have a knowledge of who are you marketing to, your target audience, your message, all of that. You also want to develop a brand that is really unique, that is you, that shows your point of view, that differentiates you and positions you as an authority in the marketplace. Positioning is big and very, very important. And then, of course, your website, which is your online hub. Everything you do is to drive traffic to your website. Then the next one is you need to reach and attract new clients. This is where your inbound efforts, your outbound efforts, and your paid advertising comes in. And then you need to amplify and expand your existing clients. You need to sell them as much as possible. Like we said before, this is big on repeat business, but you don't want to necessarily leave it to chance. You want to nurture your clients. So when you're thinking about the brainstorming and you're doing that, you want to think about, what can I do to enhance my reputation and my authority and positioning in the marketplace, and list a few things there. And you also want to see, what can I do to reach more prospects with my message? List a few things there. And then, what can I do to generate more referrals? What can I do to generate more resale revenue from my existing clients? So when you're talking about amplifying your existing clients, I want to, for a moment, point out that you want to have an email system if you don't have one, and so many of you don't have one. You want to be able to send your clients a Happy New Year email at least, or thank you for your business in Thanksgiving, And so many of you don't have this. Even those of you who have hired one of these industry email services, you don't send them anything that is personal. You only send them these email blasts like that, and that's not enough. So you want to do this because your competitors are wishing them happy holidays while you're just ignoring them, So if you don't have a way to communicate with your clients like this, this is time that you do that. This is a priority. Okay, so with your reach activities, this is where your inbound efforts come in, your outbound, traditional, where you're reaching out. Maybe you're doing it through LinkedIn, maybe you're doing it through cold calling, but LinkedIn is really good for networking with potential clients and researching clients and actually sending them messages. That's the new way of cold calling, I guess. And also paid advertising. You want more people to know about your business today than they did yesterday. Now, the most important things that you need to do and take into consideration on building your online presence are your website, your keywords, content publishing, on-site optimization, and technical SEO. I just want to point that out because this is how you are going to build your online presence. So you need to always be thinking in terms of these things. Back to our blueprint, you want to develop a strong foundation because positioning is everything in this marketplace. And we already touched on this. We talked about your website already. We talked about your message. We talked about your target audience. but I just wanted to show it to you within the context of the blueprint. Okay, now how do you actually prioritize? At this point, we go back to our goals and reverse engineer, break it down into smaller milestones. The point is that when you are thinking about the tasks and activities that are necessary to accomplish your next milestone, you only focus on 2 or 3. That will be plenty. You still have to take care of your day-to-day of running your business, and it gets crazy sometimes. If you focus on just moving forward with one goal, you're going to be getting places. Okay, so now let's move on to the execution plan. This is our 90-day action plan activities. So, for example, you want to implement a new prospecting campaign. So this is going to have a number of steps, and you want to list them. So your campaign may include sending a dimensional mail package, researching your leads, connecting on LinkedIn with your leads, following up with calls and emails. Probably not in that order, but you would list all those steps. We have a blog post that I'm also linking that walks you through how to do a prospecting campaign. So let's say, for example, that in 90 days you want to have a CRM in place because you don't have one, and you want to have already implemented your prospecting campaign. So this week, the first thing you have to do is finalize the concept of your campaign. Then next week, your goal is to decide what self-promos you want to include in the package. And then the week after, you want to hire somebody to help you with the prospect research, because that takes too much time. I hope that this makes sense and helps you. Okay, the next thing is to put it on the calendar. There's 2 things you're going to do with this. One, you're going to go through the calendar and you're going to first note the big holidays. So you want to mark those there. You don't want to forget about taking advantage of the 4th of July to do a promotion, for example, or you don't want to think about, oh, today is 4th of July, I should be posting something today, and it's Sunday, and so the point is that you want to mark those out in the calendar, and you want to also, like your anniversary, any events that take place in your town that are important, that everybody talks about, trade shows that you go to, things like that are occasions to talk to your clients about something that is going to be of interest to them. You also want to schedule time to work on your business and not in your business operations. You may have to schedule time outside business hours. For me, I schedule time 3 or 4 hours over the weekend, usually Saturday morning. A block of time without any interruptions. I don't look at email. I don't do any operations work. I don't do any quotes. I don't do anything like that. It's just things that I have to improve on my business or implement in my business. So you also want to mark, if you're doing back to your prospecting campaign, you would mark that you are going to be sending a newsletter every Friday, for example, or if it's monthly or bi-monthly, you would mark the day. You would mark when are you going to be sending packages out, things like that. Okay, so we are down to the last step: track, measure, and quantify. This is kind of your profit and loss statement of your marketing. What's working? How's everything going? Back to your objectives, the visitors, the leads, the prospects, and the sales. You want to compare. And it's not, you don't necessarily want to increase all these numbers. Of course, you want to increase the number of sales, converted prospects, but you also want to quantify. For example, you had 1,000 visitors this month, 250 leads, and from there, 50 actually were interested. Maybe next month it goes down to 700 visitors, but you have 300 leads. So you are increasing the proportion. And you want to have a report every month on this to see what's working and what adjustments you have to make. One of the tools that are really useful for this is Google Analytics. It will give you a lot of information. If you are not familiar with it, it could be overwhelming, all the stuff you could see there. But I recommend that you start with these here. How many visits per month, keywords ranking. And this is important because you will see what posts are visited the most. Okay, so you also want to look at how long are people staying on your site, and how many pages are they visiting, and their bounce rate. The bounce rate is that are coming in and leaving without staying on your website more than a few seconds. And this is important because if somebody comes in your website and leaves, it means that they weren't interested. That's not what they were looking for. So you want to keep this bounce rate low. A good target is about 50% or less. Anything higher, and you have to really do some serious work. The people who are coming are not the right people. Okay, so now let's take a quick look at some tools and resources that are going to help you in the implementation. So these are basic tools. Most of them are free or have a free version, okay? First one is a CRM system. You totally need a CRM system, and if you don't have one, I have an article to help you select one, and it's a link below also. To have your clients and your contacts and your deals organized and easy to find. Very, very, very important. Okay, the task project management system. This is good for organizing all of your marketing work and your marketing efforts. You want to have that organized. And I love Trello. Trello is a free software. They have a paid level, but with the free level, you can do a lot. So I really recommend it. Just quickly, it works. It's a very visual system, and you can have, this is an example that I just put together. And so you can have boards like this and lists in each board of different things and the stages of something. And then each card opens and it has tasks, and you can do attachments and make notes. You can also share it with teams, with your team, or some people that you are outsourcing the work to. And then you can take one card and move it across the board to another list. I recommend that you take a look at Trello. It's awesome. I love it. Then you also need a content writing and editing tool, and I highly recommend Google Docs. And the reason is that Google, when you type a document in Google, it doesn't add any code to it at all, unlike a Word document. When you, I don't know if you've ever tried it, you'll know what I mean. You take a Word document, copy and paste it on your blog, and you can't get it to line up properly. Things are all over the place. The text it doesn't look right, and that's because WordPress adds code to it, and it's just very hard to deal with. Whereas with Google, it's clean, and also you can already highlight the titles and subtitles with the proper tags. So you just copy paste it and it's ready to go. It's really good. The next one is your Google Calendar. I recommend Google Calendar. I love Google Calendar because you can have different calendars in there. You can have one marketing calendar that is separate, but it's together. You can share it with your team. Then everybody's on the same page with what's going on with your marketing. The next one is a social media management tool, either Hootsuite or Buffer. They have free levels, and you can do, I don't know, one has, I think, up to 4 networks, the other one 5, something like that. But it's really useful. If you like it, if you want to go on to the paid level, it's not very expensive. But what this lets you do is you can post in advance. You can have a whole week of posts on there and schedule them, and they're going to automatically be posted, and you don't have to worry about it. You do want to every day go and check, and comment, and if anybody commented, you want to answer, but you don't have to be so worried about the actual posting. So this is a huge time saver. And then for email marketing, we love MailChimp or ActiveCampaign. They're both great systems. MailChimp has a free level. ActiveCampaign is more of a marketing platform that does a lot more. It's not free, but it's very affordable. So you do need to have an email system that is synced to your CRM system so that you don't have to be feeding the information back and forth and double entry anything. It's already going and segmenting your lists and everything. And that is perfectly possible in this world. And so get the tools that will do that. And the last one is Google Analytics. It is free, and we already touched on that. It gives you a wealth of information. So much for the tools. Now to recap, we went over the marketing fundamentals to be strategic. We also talked about how to start building your online presence. Then we went through the plan, the 9 steps. First, you're going to do a review. Then you're going to set your goals. Number 3, you're going to narrow down your audience. Number 4, you're going to polish your message. Number 5, you're going to set a budget. Number 6, you are going to determine your marketing activities. Number 7, you're going to work on your execution plan. Number 8 is you're going to schedule all of that. And number 9, you're going to track and adjust. Now, if you need any help, we love to help people. I know I covered a lot, and you can use all of the resources in this page that I'm listing for you. Go through this webinar as many times as you want. If you need any help beyond that, just reach out to us. If you have questions, post them on the Facebook group. That's the best place for me to see it quickly and address them quickly. Just to tell you a little bit of what we do, we provide marketing services for small businesses, now including distributors. And I've been focusing on distributors for this last year more and more. I've been doing this for 30 years, as I showed you, and I really know the industry well, and I know your challenges. We provide basically all the strategy, the systems, and the support you need to get to point B. Whether it's a short-term project or to an all-inclusive services, we function as an outsourced marketing team, and you don't have to worry about payroll or knowledge or anything like that. And we will be putting out some new products out there, trainings that we're working on, so that if you want to do it on your own, you will be able to do it the right way. Now, I wanted to tell you about our content marketing services. I wanted to have something that would be affordable and wouldn't be a cookie cutter, but it would have a big impact. And as I said before, today, content is the main course of a marketing plan. There is no two ways about it. But not everyone is a writer, or not everyone has the time to write. So our plan starts at less than $200 a month for 2 blog posts per month, completely customized to your business with your voice to represent your style, your brand. So it's not cookie cutter at all. It is about your business and your clients. So if you want any more details, just reach out and we will be happy to give you more information about that. All right, so the commercial is up. So before I go, I want you to take advantage of our free online presence assessment. It will give you a good baseline to know what you need to do to increase your online visibility. And it usually uncovers opportunities that are easy to fix to help you with your rankings right away, as I mentioned before, most of the times anyway. So make sure you use all of these resources that I put together. I'm sure that you will see results, and I hope you tell me about them, because I'd love to hear how everything is working for you and if this was valuable, because I've spent a lot of time putting this together and I really want to make sure that it is valuable. So if you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. Again, post them on the group where everybody can see them, and other people that are going through the same journey can benefit from that. So that's why I think it's best to do it on the group. And with that, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you spending it with me. I hope this was helpful and that you came out with some solid, good action steps. Connect with me on social media. I hope to hear from you. Thank you so much, and go be successful.